Hello, everyone, and welcome to On the Same Wavelength, the wireless perspective with Perry. Today, we're kind of putting two of our radios head to head, and I'm joined here by Eric, who knows these radios inside out. We're going to keep it a little informative, fun, and if you guys have any questions, you can pop them in the chat. We have some people monitoring it. So, are you ready?
You bet.
Okay.
One fire away.
So, why would a customer select 900 megahertz frequency?
That's a really good question. There's really a lot of benefits to it. The 900 megahertz is actually, it's an older frequency. In other words, people have been building radios in that for quite some time. The biggest advantage to it, quite honestly, and that was one of the main reasons people gravitated towards it, it falls in what's called the ISM band, which means that it is unlicensed to the user. The user can utilize it for any application they have. They don't have to go to the FCC to get the license for it. Another part is that, it actually gives you a lot of flexibility as far as the networking types that you can put in there. You can, create these networks that are kind of like a wired network, but in a wireless world. But because 900 really fits kind of what we call a sweet spot, really, in the radio world, because it really gives you good range. Some really good penetration as far as the propagation characteristics to it. It can follow the terrain a little bit, especially when compared to much higher frequencies, but you still get the speed. I mean, you can actually get quite a bit of speed on it. So 900 kind of fits that bill really well.
Okay. So what 900 products does ESTeem offer?
Right now, we actually have two different 900 megahertz products available. We have the Edge 900, which is kind of the entry level radio. It's a great kind of replacement for either a serial or even a smaller Ethernet network. And then we've got the Horizon 900, which is kind of our fully networked high-speed radio.
Okay, so what are the two major differences between the two models?
Okay, you really need to look at it from the Edge. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of our entry level radio in the fact that it's really built around like a star topology where you have one central point and then you have remote stations that fall off of that.
Okay.
Generally, it's good to about 1 megabit per second. It's very similar to what a lot of the other radios out there, so it's a great upgrade if you're going into you're just trying to replace an existing system for future proofing the systems. But when we're looking at the Horizon 900, it's a full blown networking device.
Okay.
It's got multiple modes of operation, very, very high speed. It can get up to 72 megabits throughput on that. And you can create very, very complex networks with this.
Okay.
It also has advanced networking features like meshing capability for it. And you hear that term a lot, but really what that means is if you have multiple routes to a destination, okay, what it does is if you kind of look at it on a map, it kind of looks like a spider web. That's where the term mesh came from. But the idea behind this is that it's kind of a self-regulating network.
Okay.
Really what it does is it allows, if you have one site that goes out, you don't necessarily, even if that site's being used as a repeater, okay, you don't necessarily have to lose the entire network. There's stations that fall off of that. It can automatically reroute. It can find a different pathway to it. It's a very, very intelligent networking structure.
Okay.
In addition to that, the multiple modes of operation, it actually has about 9 different modes of operation, everything from routing to bridging to source NAT to mobile environments, things like this. So it's a very, very sophisticated device. You can actually create a very, very Wi-Fi type network, but it's running at 900 megahertz.
Okay.
So that does have some advantages in itself.
Okay. We kind of touched on speed already, but what kind of distance can you
that's a good way to look at it, because like I said, the Edge 900 really, you want to keep your networks to about a 5-mile radius.
Okay.
In that range. They're good to 1 megabit as far as the throughput, as far as the RF data rate. So it kind of a good rule of thumb for any radio system. It's about a 2-for-1 if you're comparing basically a wired throughput versus a wireless throughput. So you're going to be getting about 500 kilobits throughput on that. Looking at it from, say, a Horizon 900, though, it's actually got a higher output transmitter in it, in addition to a much higher speed type modulation. We can actually get up to 10 miles with that radio without much problem. And that one goes up to 72 megabits per second. Kind of an average, what we'd expect out of that. Most systems is about 36 megabits per second. But for a 900 megahertz upgrade, that's still a tremendous
Yeah.
speed increase.
That is, so the big one everyone talks about, security. So
Oh.
how secure are both of these 900s?
Well, the beautiful part is both of these 900 megahertz radios actually support or run what's called 256-bit AES,
Okay,
which is actually about double what you'd expect what's running on the internet for transactions now. Most internet transactions are 128-bit AES, so we can support up to 256 in the Horizon 900. It's actually got the capability of talking to some legacy hardware that we have. So it actually has ways of lowering the actual encryption rate to match the network it's going into.
okay,
But the Edge 900 actually supports right out the box AES 256. And when you're looking at upgrades, that is going to be one of the key things that we're going to concentrate on too, is that a lot of systems out there were put in when times we're looking at serial based networks or things like this. And as system requirements, especially network requirements in municipalities, the encryption requirements are much tighter now. And so this meets a lot of the modern specifications for that.
okay. So I guess why would somebody select 900 versus like another higher speed radio, like a 2.4, 4.9, 5.8?
Sure. The what we're looking at as far as differences there is, that you get some base characteristics of it. The 900 megahertz is in a proprietary frequency band in the fact that it doesn't have any open protocol standard to it. So it gets a certain amount of security in that also. The nice part is when comparing it to those other frequencies, you're getting a lot of the advantages as far as distance because just pure physics, radio propagation of it. It's actually going to travel further in more difficult environments to it. The nice part is that you would be able to create a Wi-Fi type network. In other words, you can have mobile clients in it. You can have, devices that roam. You get the speed, the meshing, things that you would normally expect in these higher frequency systems. But you're not limited to necessarily utilizing those existing bands. Another nice feature, especially when looking at applying this into, industrial applications, things like this, it's not in competition with a lot of the IT-based systems.
Yes.
It can actually run side by side with a lot of the Wi-Fi systems, provide the same level of type of networking, but overall be able to give you a different network that operates outside those bands.
Okay.
So those are kind of the key things.
Okay. So the Horizon and the Edge, do they have Wi-Fi?
Actually, they don't have
Okay.
Wi-Fi inherently into them. As a matter of fact, by default, there it's kind of outside of that band. But we have added a new feature into the Horizon 900.
Okay.
We're giving it a Wi-Fi interface. What that allows to do is really, we're utilizing that not only necessary for programming, so you could walk up to it and essentially associate with that radio, and then you're now on to the entire network as a whole.
Okay.
But it also is looking at using it as a bridge for IoT or IIoT type systems that can link into it and then bridge across the 900 megahertz network. So it is going to be a very, very powerful feature.
Okay, so you're adding this into the 900. So does ESTeem have any plans on getting out of the 900?
That's a good question. And that's really where a lot of customers are coming back to us, is the fact that these are active products to us. This is not the first 900 megahertz radio we have.
Yeah.
And another thing is that this is not the only radio that we manufacture. We manufacture radios at 2.4, 4.9, 5.8, and even down the licensed frequency bands. So we're not trying to push people into utilizing this 900. It's just understanding the power of actually doing it.
Yes.
So it's an active product for us. It's very, very, we're sticking into this band where a lot of customers are, quite honestly, a lot of vendors are getting out of it. So it is definitely going to be available in the future.
Okay. Well, that's good. So do you have any examples of where these 900s, like in applications, are used today?
Oh, sure. Well, 900, the good part is that if we break this all down, quite honestly, we're in the business of replacing cable.
Yeah.
So, really what we're doing is that anything that requires a wire to communicate, we could do that with 900. Some really key applications that we've done with the past are, supervisory control, data collection, classic SCADA based systems, things like this. Another good example of it would be like oil and gas, especially on like pipeline applications, because any one of the remotes in the system can be a repeater in this meshing capability for anybody else. So you can run it straight down a pipeline and have it a completely, this single communication network and the radios will just pass the information on down the line. It's been utilized a lot in kind of unique applications, or not only in agriculture, where we're, doing this for, bringing in circle irrigation and things like this, but also bringing in things like wind farms and a lot of energy things. Kind of a unique application that we're seeing is actually, surprisingly enough, with automatically guided vehicles, AGVs, and factory floor, because we can utilize the base characteristics of this radio where it's going to function just like Wi-Fi, but it's outside the Wi-Fi bands. So they use them inside of a plant because it not only provides them that type of network that they need, but also can operate at side by side
Yeah.
with the system. And it will not be a problem.
Okay. So you say it operates outside of the Wi-Fi band, so that also makes it more secure too.
It definitely can.
Okay.
And the fact that it's kind of an inherent security built
Okay.
into it, but that is also kind of a bonus feature, I guess.
It's kind of a bonus. So are all 900 megahertz radios compatible with each other? Can the Edge or the Horizon radios communicate with other 900s?
That's the tough part, because quite honestly, because it is not an open standard, there really is no baseline way, there's no common protocol that they all communicate on, or the common type modulation. So they are proprietary
Okay.
in their very nature. And that's one of the features of kind of the security side of it. So the Edge doesn't talk to the Horizon 900, and the Horizon 900 doesn't talk to the other vendors out there. So
Okay.
that is one unfortunate part to it. There really is no common base to it. The common part in a network, if you're looking at expansion or something like this, is just the Ethernet port.
Okay.
You can just plug, our radio into a switch and, from an Ethernet standpoint, continue out the network or replace sections of the network if necessary.
Okay. And is the Edge or the Horizon backwards compatible with any of our older radios?
That's a good question. It's something that we at ESTeem take very seriously, is the fact that we're always looking at sustainability of the systems. Basically, the Horizon 900 is completely downward compatible to the previous version, which was called the 195 ED.
Okay.
The Edge 900 is a kind of a standalone radio. It's a new product for us. So there's nothing really to go be downward compatible to it.
Okay.
But it's something that we do look forward to and do look into the future of, because we understand our customer base.
Yeah.
Our customer base is not something that's going to be replacing these systems out every year or two.
Yeah.
It's something that's going to stick around for 5-10 years. So
Mhm.
we understand that that's a common characteristic of it. And so one of the things that we do is we make sure that when we try to build a new wireless system, we at least, or make it compatible if possible to the previous generations.
That's nice. So they're able to drop in that newer radio into the older network and
Exactly. They'll have to
and
replace the
site,
entire
yeah.
thing.
Or replace the site. That's so nice. So I guess why would somebody consider upgrading to an Edge or a Horizon if they already have another 900 megahertz network?
It's a good question, and the tough part is that you have an existing operating system. It's one of those things you just tend to not try to replace it. But the realities of the situation are you're going to have to need to expand that system out.
Yeah.
You're going to need replacements into the future. And unfortunately, when a lot of manufacturers have got out of this 900 megahertz band, they've just got out full cloth. They said, we just don't make anymore. It's that simple. So what we're doing is that is something to actually consider is that we have an active product for it. It is going to be an active radio for us in the future.
Okay.
We've got a history in the radio business, so it's not something like we're not going to be gone tomorrow. So
Yeah.
if you are looking at doing an upgrade for it, we're not only giving you a path forward on being able to get the devices, but also picking up a lot of things that we talked about before. You're picking up security, which the system may not have, that is going to be required in a lot of municipal applications. But you're also can utilize a lot of the features within the radio that you might not be considering today, especially jumping up to the Horizon 900. It's far and away so much faster than anything else in the market. You can do remote programming. You can do basically online programming of the PLCs. You can bring in equipment that you might not necessarily might be fun to have, but never have the bandwidth to do. It's like cameras or voice over IP, things like this. So it can be not only just an upgrade for future systems, but also give you some clear advantages.
So can people who have different Horizon or not Horizon, but 900 networks and they upgrade to like a Horizon or Edge, can they use their existing hardware, like their antennas, their cables, their power supplies with our radios?
In most cases, you generally can.
Okay.
And it really comes down to how serviceable the equipment is. The nice part is that there is nothing proprietary about the actual, radio transmissions of it. So the antennas are going to be common cables, lightning suppression, all of that can generally stay as long as it doesn't have a problem and
Okay.
can be utilized in the new system. So you can save yourself some money there for sure.
Okay. It also looks for like mounting these radios. A lot of the things that we have is pole mounting, and does it have to be pole mounted?
That's a good question. One of the unique features of our radio
Mhm.
is that it can be, when a pole mounted kit, it does create a NEMA 4 case. So it can be mounted outside. The biggest advantage to that is you're not running a bunch of coax cable.
Yeah.
Coax cable, generally, you have to be careful with it. It's a little bit more expensive. And generally, you have to, it has to be put into conduit to make sure it isn't damaged. When you're doing like a pole mount, it's just a straight, basically an outdoor rated Ethernet cable. So
Okay.
you've got all the advantages to that, but it's not necessary. That's the best part is it's really up to you how you want the system to go in. We can support the outdoor mounting, which we can, kind of go over a lot of the advantages to that. But we also support just what we'll call a standard cabinet mount where the radio is mounted inside of the enclosure. And then you just run a coax cable up to a remote antenna. We can do either one and the radio works just as well either way.
Okay. So another big one is, how are these radios programmed?
Oh, sure. And, we provide all the programming tools for the radio. And it's something that's not going to be an additional line item for you. You can download the programming tools right off our website. You can do them beforehand to see what's involved in it. The Edge 900, there's a lot of things that is inside of that. In other words, you can access the spectrum analyzer. You can go in there and set a lot of the networking capabilities, the proxies, the things that will help manage the Ethernet traffic going through the system. You set that all in the configuration utility.
Okay.
Now the Horizon 900, you can either program it through the programming system. The nice part is that every one of the radio has a web interface to it.
Okay.
So you can hit it with any any computer out there that has a web browser. You can program the radio, but it also has a unique program that we've put together, which is the Horizon Network Manager.
Okay.
Which allows you to visually design the system, which is nice. So if you've got 5 radios, what you can do is you actually just put 5 serial numbers of the radios you have, and you draw a line between how you want the radio to communicate.
Okay.
So if you want a backup path, you draw a pathway between it to create this mesh network. It's a very, very powerful tool, not only on the initial programming of it, but the nice part is that you can then, once it's established, you can actually save that. And when the system is now running, you can push a button up there that says monitor, and it will actually go out and interrogate the radios, and it'll give you the current signal strength, data rates, if it's running in a mesh, which route it's taking. So it's an incredibly powerful tool. And every one of these programming commands is available for free.
Okay.
With all the radio. That's what you're really buying into,
Okay.
is our ecosystem.
So we also have a programming tool, Rapid Ready. Can that be used for the Horizons as well?
Oh, absolutely. The nice part is that the Rapid Ready side of it too is that it does all the initial design without having to go into the tool. If you have a specific pathways that you want them to run, great.
Okay.
If you just want the radios to communicate and talk and you don't really care how they do it, Rapid Ready is a perfect way to quick starting tool.
Okay, perfect. I think those are all the questions I have for you today.
Okay.
What is the best way, if anyone else has any more questions on the 900, to get a hold of you?
The easiest way to get a hold of me, you can of course email me. It's
Okay.
just my last name. It's marske@ESTeem.com. You can of course hit us on the support chat on our website. Of course, you've got the website, and of course you can still use the old classic phone at 509-735-9092. And then you can push whether you need support or sales. We can help you out with either one.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining us, Eric, and thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great day.